Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Exactly.
Bullet
right.
points, baby.
All right, UFC 302 main event, the headliner of the pay-per-view, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier, right? Man, this is an incredible fight, man. I'm glad that Dustin is getting his shot against Islam. You know what I mean? When you think of guys that, you know, deserve title shots, like he's one of the guys, right? Like he's done so much.
Did you see it came out that apparently Saint Denis actually had it written in his contract that after beating Dustin, he would get this shot.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that, you know, okay, Dustin won, he gets the title.
Exactly,
you know?
right?
It's
deservingly.
One of those like really nice moments of like fairness like happening in the sport.
It is. Yeah. And he's one of the good, you know, so-called good guys. Of the sport,
he's one of those guys that you want that to happen to.
And you almost like root for him, right? Because he's in a scenario where a lot of people are rooting for him.
Yeah.
You know, they don't think he could win, but they're rooting for him.
Yeah.
So when they watch the fight, they're going to be rooting for him.
You know how many people or how many just things where I see interviews, including like Masvidal saying like, oh, I don't know, my heart says that he actually knocks Islam out or something. It's nice to see, actually.
It is very nice to see. So with this fight, Islam will actually be fighting a lightweight, a regular lightweight, you know. What was the last fight? Well, let's go over Islam's
Volk twice.
Yeah, Volk twice, right? So let's look at Islam, 25-1, 32 years old, 13 fight win streak at the moment. 14-1 in the UFC. His only loss was that knockout loss to Adriano Martins back in 2015. Jeez, he hasn't lost since 2015. And he's fought crazy. Chris Wade, Nick Lentz, Gleison Tebow, Armin Sarukian, Davi Ramos, Drew Dober, Thierry Moses, Dan Hooker, Bobby Green, Charles Oliveira, Alexander Volkanovski twice. That is That's a very good resume.
That's a resume.
Right? But this time he's fighting Dustin Poirier. It's not a rematch. It's a fresh matchup. And man, but just before we get to Dustin, just Islam he's a machine, man.
Yeah,
like
he's so good.
There's got to be something to said about these Dagestani fighters, man, that really are dedicated to the craft.
Yeah.
That they rarely ever make mistakes.
No. And the thing is I saw that Khabib is cornering him in this one, and I kind of feel like
recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I mean
is it?
Yeah,
it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
It's like why bring him in now? Why?
Well, I mean, Khabib did fight Poirier for the belt.
True.
And almost got gillied.
Yeah.
So
you know what's gonna be crazy? If let's say that Dustin goes in there and does knock him out, then there's gonna be a narrative of people. You know, there's gonna be people with the narrative of like the Khabib curse.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because you remember like Khabib was like cornering a lot of fighters for a few years.
Yeah,
and he won. They pretty much all won.
They all won.
Yeah, they all won their fights. But could it be the turn here? Could we turn that lucky streak? Not we turn, but you know, could Dustin turn the lucky streak? I don't know. But Islam is an incredible fighter, man.
Yeah.
His head kick knockout of Alexander Volkanovski was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was just something that you would have never seen coming from him.
Even the hook and the submission with Oliveira.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Just dropped him
and
clean.
he wasn't even in the right position to lock up the
it wasn't it wasn't like a proper
regular,
head norm or like a regular, I guess you
and
would
he's
say.
choked out one of the best submission artists in the game, right? So with that, and then knocked out Bobby Green before that, and then submitted Dan Hooker. Just he was finishing fights, right?
Yeah.
The thing about him, and I think he's a better all-around fighter than Khabib was or will ever probably be, because he's not really training anymore.
Yeah.
But I think he's all around a better fighter. His striking, he's getting to the point where his grappling is now his backup plan.
Yeah.
Right?
Honestly.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a point in time where Khabib was talking about Islam and even saying like he's better than me.
Yeah.
or he will be better than me or something
Well,
like
the
that.
coaches say that if there would be anybody to defeat Habib,
It'd be Islam.
it'd be Islam, right?
Yeah.
That's what everybody says. That's what their training partners say. That's what their coaches say. But Islam, man, he has his own legacy. I just wish that he would get out the shadow, or like people stop putting him in the shadow of Habib. I wish he would just be his own man. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I see I see the relevance to it and everything. I mean, obviously he's basically Habib's little brother,
yeah,
you know, but yeah, he's starting to, right? If he finishes Dustin, I think that would be sort of maybe the last time that people would really be comparing, unless I guess if he fought Justin or like fought Gaethje, then I suppose they would also make comparisons, since, you know, when Islam is fighting the same guys, it's hard not to make comparisons. But yeah, it's just interesting.
yeah. The thing is, like, Habib retired early, so
Yeah.
Islam is not gonna do that. And
Yeah.
he's gonna fight all the best dudes, and he's
Exactly.
risking it, and that's why I respect. I don't know, because Habib had his reasons for retiring, but I just respect Islam more, and I think Islam is gonna be. I think he'll be at the end when it's all said and done. I think people will be ranking Islam higher than Habib
Probably.
with accomplishments, just the skill set, just the performances, because Islam is finishing a lot of the dudes.
Well,
like,
and we're also going to see a lot more of Islam.
yeah,
Like, we're just gonna see an entire career. You know, Khabib, it felt like there was just so much more gas that could have kept going, and
Without
it
a
just
doubt.
didn't.
yeah,
And that's fine. You know, you know, he made his decision, and I respect him for sticking to it. When a lot of fighters, when they retire, they come back. But yeah, I just, I think you're right. Even with the one loss or whatever, and even if he loses to Poirier, I see he'll get that belt back.
yeah.
You know what I mean? At some point, I think we have a lot more to see of him.
Oh, for sure. And now on the flip side, Dustin Poirier, 30-8, won no contest. He's 35 years old, man. He's not as old as I think a lot of people think he is. Like,
He's been around forever.
Yeah,
Man.
he's been around. He's like Max, right? Max is only 31.
Yeah.
It's nuts. His UFC record is 22-7, won no contest. That's insane. He's the only guy that has ever finished Max Holloway.
Yeah, I saw
The
that.
only guy, right?
He also got rejected from the Ultimate Fighter for being too boring.
Yeah, that's nuts, right? So if you look at his record, man, let's just start off with where do we start?
Yeah.
Like, look at the resume. Conor McGregor twice.
Yeah.
Dan Hooker, Max Holloway, Eddie
Twice.
Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis, Jim Miller, Bobby Green. These are all guys that he beat.
Yeah.
Diego Ferreira. Even when you go back to his like featherweight days, right? He beat like guys like Eric Koch, who was one of the best guys during that time. Jonathan Brookins was one of the best guys during that time. You know, Max Holloway, he beat him during that time as well. Yeah, so like with Dustin, this is his swan song. Like, this is his last opportunity. This is his opportunity to show that he is a GOAT. This is his opportunity to show that he's a GOAT. I don't know if he's like up there to the greatest of all time level, but he's clearly a Hall of Famer and he's a great. It's just this will give him the undisputed UFC lightweight title.
It's the one thing that he hasn't been able to
done.
touch.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you get the belt on your first try or your fifth try. It doesn't matter. You got the belt.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, right? So with all that said, I'm picking Islam to win. Because that's the obvious choice, right?
Yeah, no, it's the obvious choice. And I just think between the fact that Islam is working with a guy who beat, you know, Poirier so soundly, with the fact that the one submission that Poirier seems to, you know, always seem to lose to is an RNC, and Islam is an amazing grappler. And just, you know, just with all of that, Islam striking, his he can take these shots and everything. The heart, of course, says like I would love to see Dustin win by KO, but my brain is saying Islam by submission.
Islam is not gonna use the same game plan.
Yeah,
because Habib was heavily invested into the grappling, right? Habib was. Islam is not as much anymore because his striking has leveled up so much that he's gonna go in there. He's gonna strike with Dustin, right? And that's when Dustin will have his opportunities. If Dustin knocks him out, I can see Dustin knocking him out too.
So can I.
It all depends on what does Islam want to do. Does he want to strike with him? Does he want to get in the pocket with him, or is he gonna use the striking to wrestle him along the fence?
I think I see him using that striking and being smart, and being an MMA fighter and using the striking to get the takedown and then taking the back and subbing him.
It's like the Oliveira fight.
Yeah.
Oliveira was a threat everywhere, like in the striking, in the grappling. And then what he did, he struck with him and then what? Took him down and submitted him. Yeah. I could see that happening to Dustin Poirier. Yeah. And I could see that happening early in the fight. That's the bad part.
That's the thing. Yeah. I see it happening in maybe round 2, round 1.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, again, the heart says like, let's see that, that hook thing, drop him. But
it's nothing against Islam, but just people want certain fighters to win.
Yeah. I think everyone sees so much more steam and time for Islam, and he's going to be a great no matter what. He's already proving that he's a great, and he's young. Whereas they're also seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for Dustin, especially with how he's talking, so they know, like you said, swan song. I think a lot of people want to root for the person that is A, the underdog, and B, it's their swan song. So
I'm picking this fight. It does not go the distance.
No,
this fight is gonna end in the first.
No. I think first 3.
Rounds. Yeah, first 2 or 3 rounds. Someone's gonna win this fight.
I don't see championship rounds for this.
No. So official pick, Islam submission inside 3.
Yep, same.